Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. Some people say marriage requires effort, but no one really tells you there's a big difference between healthy relationship effort and constantly tiptoeing around someone who always believes they're right. My name's Jason, and this is how I went from saying, "I do," to hurling my wedding ring across the room in less than 2 months. All because I finally stopped brushing off what people politely refer to as red flags. In hindsight, I should have seen it coming from the very beginning. But when your mom keeps hinting at wanting grandkids, you start thinking maybe it's time to settle down. That's exactly what happened when my mother grew tired of waiting for me to find a wife on my own. At 31, I had a solid job in the corporate world, owned my own place, and according to her, was getting too old without a wife or children. In her view, 31 wasn't young anymore. I was practically a lifelong bachelor who needed a push. So she did what any proactive mom would do. She started reaching out to other moms who had daughters still single. Before long, she linked up with a friend whose daughter, Carol, was 29 and apparently also under some gentle family pressure to settle down. Our moms arranged for us to meet. It felt formal, even awkward, like we were two candidates interviewing for a position neither of us had applied for. That first date was uncomfortable as we tried to feel each other out. Carol was clearly nervous, and so was I. We both knew our mothers were sitting at home waiting for a detailed play-by-play of the evening. We exchanged the usual small talk, jobs, families, interests, but everything felt a little forced. Carol was stunning, no doubt about that, but being attracted to someone and being compatible with them are very different things. That first meeting didn't really reveal whether we had real chemistry, but things improved by the second and third meetups. Once we got over the awkward setup, conversation flowed more naturally. Carol was intelligent and had strong opinions. Even if we didn't always agree, I respected her perspective. We discovered a few shared interests: trying out new restaurants, weekend hikes, saving money, and building stable careers. She also appreciated that I wasn't rushing anything physical or pushing us into a serious relationship too fast. Early on, we both agreed to take our time, despite our moms being eager for us to fast-track toward marriage. While the family pressure was heavy, we wanted to actually get to know one another before making big commitments. And taking it slow turned out to be a wise move. It gave us space to see how we behaved in various situations, to find out whether we really enjoyed each other's company or were just performing for our families. Over the following months, Carol and I saw each other more often and began opening up. We'd go out for dinner after work, explore the city on weekends, and have long calls. I learned that Carol was deeply focused on her career in marketing, with clear goals for advancing into leadership roles. She was methodical, driven, and had her entire future mapped out. I admired her ambition, even if it sometimes felt a little too precise. She, on the other hand, saw that I was more relaxed about life's path. While I took my job in software development seriously, I wasn't obsessed with rigid planning. I like solving problems and building things, but I also prioritize a balanced life. I didn't feel the need to control every variable. Around the 6-month mark, we decided to move from casual dating to a real relationship. It felt like the natural next step. We genuinely enjoyed being together, and both families were rooting for us. To me, Carol seemed like the kind of partner I could build a home with. Family-oriented, financially responsible, and someone who talked openly about wanting a stable, peaceful life. Plus, she was beautiful, so I didn't mind that our romance had started with parental matchmaking rather than sparks flying in some coffee shop. I didn't fully grasp why Carol had agreed to give us a shot, but I appreciated that she was open to seeing where things might go. Sometimes these kinds of setups work because both people are genuinely searching for commitment, not just casual flings. For the first few months of our official relationship, everything went pretty smoothly. Our families were excited, constantly inviting us to events together, treating us like a couple headed toward marriage. But it wasn't long before small disagreements started spiraling into full-on arguments. What began as minor differences in opinion would quickly explode into debates over our compatibility, values, and priorities. Carol seemed to believe she was always in the right, and expected me to apologize, regardless of who actually started the disagreement. Even when the issue was subjective, she demanded I admit fault for not agreeing with her. To me, Carol never seemed to take ownership of her part in our conflicts. She would magnify small problems into full-blown crises. Anytime I disagreed with her, she acted like I was dismissing her intelligence or ignoring her feelings, which wasn't true at all. These patterns became clear fast, but because both families were involved, most conflicts got patched up with outside advice before they could cause lasting damage. Our mothers would coach us separately on compromise, and our dads reminded us that all couples have rough patches. But instead of helping, the family involvement made things worse. Carol and I never developed the tools to handle conflict ourselves. We get frustrated, vent to our parents, and then get lectures, without ever actually solving the real communication issues. After knowing each other for 2 years, and dating for a year and a half, I proposed on Carol's birthday. She said yes, excitedly. At that point, both families had been dropping engagement hints for months. It felt like the obvious next step. The proposal was romantic and unfolded just the way I planned it. Carol seemed genuinely thrilled to start planning our wedding. Immediately after the engagement, the wedding planning began. Our mothers dove in head first. We picked a spring date. The guest list ballooned to over 200, and planning basically became a full-time job for both families. About a month into the engagement, Carol moved in with me, and that's when things shifted. Living together full-time wasn't at all like spending weekends together. Carol turned out to be a perfectionist, and she had a my way or no way approach to everything: how the kitchen should be arranged, laundry routines, furniture placement, even how groceries were stored. At first, I tried to go along to make things easier, but it quickly became clear Carol wasn't open to compromise. She expected me to adopt her methods entirely and couldn't understand why I might prefer doing things differently. As the wedding date neared, the arguments ramped up. We fought over household routines, family duties, and wedding decisions. And I started seriously questioning whether getting married was the right move. The pressure of planning a big wedding, combined with the realities of living together, revealed aspects of our personalities we hadn't seen during dating. But with both families already invested emotionally and financially, it felt too late to pull out. Everyone kept saying the stress would pass after the wedding, that things would calm down once we were officially married. But within the first month of marriage, we had a huge blow-up over who was responsible for keeping the house clean. This wasn't just about chores. It was about Carol's obsession with having a perfect home and her belief that I wasn't doing enough to meet that standard. Even though we both worked full-time, Carol felt housework was mainly my job because I worked from home 2 days a week. She'd come home and immediately point out messes, disorganization, or anything out of place. I suggested hiring a cleaning service once or twice a week, something to take the pressure off both of us. But Carol shot that down, saying she didn't feel comfortable letting strangers into our home because of the risk of theft or privacy invasion. I tried to explain that I couldn't keep up with her standards while also doing my demanding job. But to her, that was just an excuse. Other husbands managed, so why couldn't I? After having the same argument over and over again, I finally snapped and said, "Fine, let the house be dirty. I'm not going to kill myself trying to live up to impossible expectations." I hoped that would at least make her consider the maid service idea. Instead, she lashed out, accusing me of being unreasonable, stubborn, and dismissive of her feelings. I walked away, hoping to avoid another explosion, but she followed me from room to room, venting more frustrations and listing all the ways I'd let her down since the wedding. She even said marrying me might have been a mistake. I didn't respond. I could see she wasn't trying to resolve the issue. She just wanted to fight. But she kept pushing, telling me I was immature, selfish, and a disappointment. Something in me broke. I took off my wedding ring, threw it across the room, and said, "Then let this be the last day you have to regret." That was it. We didn't speak much after that, but I knew I was done tolerating her constant criticism. The marriage was a mistake, and I wasn't going to spend years trying to fix something that was broken from the start. Carol probably thought we'd fight, cool off, and go back to our usual pattern. But this time was different. A week later, I walked through the door with divorce papers. I'd already spoken to a lawyer, filed everything under irreconcilable differences, and had the documents ready. Carol was shocked. She called both our families, hoping someone would talk me